you guys? It's your girl Fire here, and welcome back to my channel. My voice is a little hoarse from doing this damn segment because, you know, it takes a lot of talking. By the time it gets to you guys, it's like cut down tremendously, and I talk for almost 2 hours straight, sometimes 3 if I can't get it right and my words get twisted. Welcome back to Her Story, where I talk about the lives of Hawaii's reigning queens, and in today's episode we are going to be talking about Bernice Pauahi Bishop. So if you are interested, then stay to the end of the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow your girl at Hawaii_mommy. And let's get started. Before I get started to this Her Story, I would like to announce that these episodes are going to come a little bit slower because my MacBook has liquid damage. I spilled coffee on my MacBook and I tried to revive it. I tried to tip it over to get the coffee out, but I guess that wasn't enough because the coffee still laced the motherboard and caused liquid damage. I called Apple to see if they could fix it, you know. They told me that it was $1,400 to fix this laptop. And I was like, I have to get a new one. And you guys know that these MacBooks cost a pretty penny. I had all my videos on it. I edit on it. It's just pretty much my YouTube life. I need to be on a roll with these YouTube videos. So if you guys want to help, my Cash App will be down in the description. And I thank you guys so much for that. All right, so all announcements out the way. I've already started with my foundation just to move things along. And let's get into this Her Story. Today we are talking about Bernice Pauahi Bishop. She was actually born Pauahi Paki, but you know, with the missionaries and the gentrifying and you know, the church and the Christians being there, they gave her an English name and they named her Bernice. So she was born December 19, 1831, the daughter to a high chief, and his name was Abner Paki, and a high chiefess, the mother. Her name was Laura Konia Paki. Well, Laura is like, you know, her gentrified name. Anyways, to further the princess's credentials, she's actually the great granddaughter to, is that the good color? Yeah, that's a nice color. She's actually the great granddaughter to the great King Kamehameha the First. And if you guys don't know, King Kamehameha is very essential to Hawaiian history because he is the king, the HBIC. Respectfully, the HBIC that unified all of the Hawaiian archipelago. Now back then, within the archipelago, there were 8 chiefs, there were 8 rulers, but now since Kamehameha unified everybody, they're all under one person, okay, which was him. As an adolescent, Bernice attended the royal school along with all the other royal bloodline students, such as Queen Emma, Queen Liliuokalani, Queen Kapi'olani, Alexander Liholiho, just to name a few. She attended there, and it was said that she was a very excellent student that was gifted in music. She also loved horseback riding, swimming, outdoor shenanigans, and she was said to be a very fashionable girl. So she was always dripping in the latest Fashion Nova. She dressed like she was not from the islands, okay? So she was always New York Fashion Week ready. At the age of 18, Bernice was arranged to be married to her Hanai brother, and his name was Prince Lot, but instead she went against her parents' wishes. So it was by her free will that she wanted to marry Charles Reed Bishop. He was an American businessman and banker, so he was very successful in his ventures, and I'm guessing that's probably why she drew to him, because honestly, like, he ain't look all that great. When I was looking at the pictures, I was like, he's so old. And she's only 18. That's probably why they end up adopting, okay? And they couldn't bear any children, or did not bear any children. I don't know. It didn't really specify, but they didn't have any kids together, so they opted to adopt. When they tried to adopt, the lady didn't want to give up her firstborn, so they was like, oh shit. So they end up adopting somebody, but they end up giving it back to the parents, and they end up just not having any kids altogether. So with that being said, they switched their focus from taking other people's kids. I'm sorry, that's not even funny. They re-switched their focus from children and they just put it into the community. I'm sorry. They just put it into the community and focused on the education of the youth. Fast forward, Bernice is now married. She's a little bit older and she ends up inheriting this big piece of estate, more than 16,000 acres of land that is an accumulation of more than 9% of the Hawaiian island chains. So since her great grandfather was King Kamehameha I and he unified the islands, I'm guessing she gets a percentage of that. It made her the largest landholder of the Hawaiian kingdom. And with all that power and all of that inheritance, she was and royal blood. Like, she was very much eligible to be the next ruler of the Hawaiian kingdom, but instead of taking on that role, she turned it down. She just, pretty much gave her role away and focused majority on the community, which is very selfless of her. I commend her for that. One of Bernice's major contributions to the Hawaii kingdom was the founding and building of Kamehameha Schools. If you guys have been listening to me over the course of these Hawaii videos, then you would know that I have mentioned them before. Kamehameha Schools is a school specifically for Hawaiian children or kids of Hawaiian ancestry. You have to be a certain percentage of Hawaiian blood to be able to be considered. You have to take a test. You got to show your family tree, your lineage. You have to pay for it. But shout out to the Kamehameha Schools because it is a school that is teaching Hawaiian tradition, Hawaiian culture, Hawaiian language, chanting, singing songs, learning about the greats and the royal bloodline and all of that stuff, amongst with the American curricular and stuff like that. But it's teaching the Hawaiian ways and culture and tradition as well. And that's what Bernice wanted. I read that the native Hawaiian population, by the time Bernice was born, it was at an all-time high of over 124,000 people. Now, after Bernice is born and she's grown up and stuff like that, it is at a low of 44,000. Like, that's crazy. That is crazy. That is so crazy. That's how you know, like, these white people were just coming in and fucking shit up, fucking up the whole Hawaiian blood. But we're not gonna blame the white people now, because as you can see, Bernice chose her husband over her Hanai brother. She chose to be with a white man. Fast forward to 1884, Bernice dies of breast cancer. Since at the time of death, her and Charles were still married, his mission was to fulfill his wife's wishes, and that was to continue furthering the Hawaiian community, providing funds for these facilities and these properties. He mixed a little bit of his estate and his properties into hers, making it more of a bigger effort. And one of his properties was the Bishop Museum. Founded in 1889, the Bishop Museum houses heirlooms of the princess, a collection of Hawaiian objects, photographs, documents, information, artifacts and artichokes. It holds everything. So if you really want to know about Hawaiian history, the Hawaii kingdom, and all of that stuff, definitely take a visit there to the Bishop Museum. The last time I went, I was like in first grade. I was in first grade. I never got a chance to get around to going when I was taking my trips back and forth. But I will. This time around, I will, if it's open, of course, because COVID. That is it. That is all that I have for this Her Story. Tune in next week, and we are going to be talking about Princess Ka'iolani. If you guys want to stay ahead of the game and learn a little bit about her, Disney actually has a movie that was dedicated to sharing the life of Princess Ka'iolani. So if you guys want to check that out, you can, or you guys can wait. Yeah, you guys can wait for the Her Story. But nevertheless, I'll see you guys next week in the next video.